All right, folks. Chicago, war zone Chicago. We have said that Chicago is going to be the first city that's going to be struck after DC. Now, everyone has said, well, wait, what about Los Angeles? What about DC? First of all, Los Angeles, those riots that did happen. I'm talking about Trump's statements in DC. As soon as he started federalizing and sending out the National Guard and putting them on the streets in Washington, DC, I'm talking about what he said in his press conference, in which he was saying that he was going to do this and apply this potentially to other cities. And right off the bat, hearing that in the tone, Hard Lens Media was the first one to say it, that the city of Chicago was going to be the first city that's going to feel the after effect of what's happening in DC. It's not going to be New York City. It's not going to be Los Angeles. It's not going to be Miami. It's not going to be any other major metropolitan city. It's going to be Chicago. And already the knee-jerk reaction from our politicians, the knee-jerk reaction from these jagoff politicians says so much right now. And really how ill-prepared they are. So many of these politicians now are wondering, well, what's going to happen? So Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, for example, continued or dismissed the threats President Donald Trump said about sending National Guards to the city, saying Chicagoans will not bend or cower to the president's will. To which I will say, to my conservative audience, to my libertarian audience, to my independent audience, to my liberals, to my progressives, this city is going to be divided into three different fractions, okay? There's going to be Chicagoans who will welcome this with open arms. And then there's going to be Chicagoans who will, quote unquote, resist. And when I mean resist, I'm not talking about with weapons, but doing maybe a stupid protest, maybe wearing pink pussy hats and protesting in front of Trump Tower. That's still a resistance, and hoping that Mayor Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker are going to stick their necks out for them. Listen, if those politicians and the quote-unquote politicians who fought for sanctuary cities didn't do anything when ICE was raiding in Chicago in February, they're not going to do it now. All right? They're not going to do it. So if you're assuming that your favorite lawmaker is going to help you out, no, not going to happen. Let me be very clear about the machine, because it's not a Democrat machine. I'm going to once again give a shout out to the person who corrected me on this, Dr. Nick, one of my viewers, right? It's not a Democrat. It's a machine. It's a political machine, and hoping for the GOP or anybody else to fix it. No one's going to fix it. That machine's got to get blown up and destroyed. You want to be post-duopoly? Listen, you want to break it. Now, I'm not going to tell the Trump administration what to do, but maybe to avoid going on every street corner or on the south side or the west side, my advice, my opinion, you'll be saving yourself so much trouble if you reenact the scene from Blues Brothers when the National Guard and cops surrounded City Hall going after Jake and his brother, right? Go to City Hall. That's where the criminals are at. City Hall, the aldermen. The scumbag politicians. That's where the main problem is at. You do that, you might solve 95% of Chicago's problems. I'm just saying. Just throwing it out there. Okay? Just throwing it out there. Trying to be nice here. And if you know what scene I'm referencing in Blues Brothers, I love you. So in a statement on Sunday, Mayor Brandon Johnson said he's in active communication with local and state counterparts as they prepare for any potential unconstitutional military deployments in Chicago. Well, the president could, in theory, then activate the Reserve Army and Reserve Marine Corps. He could do that. He could do that. Just saying, he's the president. He can do that. Though these are things that he can do. The governor, the Cook County Board president, and I are in complete alignment. Ugh. A trifecta of stupidity. Chicago is not calling for a military occupation of our city, Johnson said in a statement. We're currently evaluating all of our legal options to protect the people of Chicago from unconstitutional federal overreach. No matter what happens, the city of Chicago will not waver. We are Chicago. We will not bend or cower, and we will never break. Say that to some other Chicagoans. No. And look, this image here does not show confidence.
I'm going to play something else President Trump said on Friday with regard to your city.
Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent, and we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this, and it won't even be tough.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
Your reaction to what you just heard.
Yeah. Well, listen, the president of the United States of America has repeated this, petulant presentation since he has assumed office. And, if the reporting is actually true, what he is proposing at this point would be the most flagrant violation of our Constitution in the 21st century. The city of Chicago does not need a military occupation.
Let me just read the statement here. All right, because I'll rewind this here. But thing is that Johnson Pritzker are offering no solution to counter Trump. No, they're not. They're only giving out word salad. They offer Orange Man bad and promise to stay the course that has failed for decades. I think Trump should use FBI 1 of 2. Well, okay, let me be clear here on this, okay? Because what Pritzker and Johnson are, they're trying to rally up whatever remains of the quote-unquote resistance in Chicago, the activists, the social justice warrior industrial complex, right? It's nothing too impressive. And also, this is an attempt for Democrats to rally around Johnson and Pritzker. Now, the thing is, Mayor Brandon Johnson, he has the lowest approval rating as it stands for any Chicago mayor. He is universally hated from the north side to the south side. I am surprised if I even hear anybody say anything complimentary about Brandon Johnson. Him putting on this face that he's speaking for Chicagoans, even if there's Chicagoans who don't like Trump and don't want the military here, there's enough saying, no, I will not support Brandon Johnson. That's how much he is hated. He is more hated than Lightfoot. And as I've repeated before on the show, if your poll numbers are lower than Lightfoot, if you are hated more than Lightfoot, you are an all-star performer. I mean, how do you have to work very hard to be hated that much by an entire city? That's an incredible feat. It's an accomplishment that no one should ever want, but Brandon Johnson, through his own initiatives and failures and his own choices, led him to this spot. He could have done great if he took more initiative, but his words right now trying to condemn and resist Trump, in my opinion, is only going to fuel Trump to come to Chicago. And by no means will that fix the problem. The main issue is the machine, dismantling the machine. And I'm not expecting no politician, no Republican politician from Washington, D.C. to dismantle the Democrat machine, because you know what they're going to see? They're going to see a machine there and be like, we could revamp it. We could refurbish it. We could rebuild it and make it better. It's got to get blown up like you blow up the Death Star. And I could promise you guys this. This will test J.B. Pritzker more. I mean, Brandon Johnson's already done. In my opinion, he's going to be a one-term mayor. He's done for. He is done as a mayor. He is done as a political leader. I cannot see how he can get reelected unless a miracle, he's able to pull us out of a $1.1 billion debt. And I don't think that's going to happen. Okay. Money does not grow on trees. We all wish it could be, but it doesn't happen that way. This is more of a test of Pritzker, and that's what Trump wants to do. Preemptively cripple, dismantle, and deflate, no pun intended, Pritzker's ambitions for the 2028 presidential election cycle. And if you really want to hurt the Democrat brand, take out Chicago. Just saying, that's what we're looking at here.
Is proposing at this point would be the most flagrant violation of our Constitution in the 21st century. The city of Chicago does not need a military occupation. That's not what we need. In fact, we've been very clear about what we need. We need to invest in people to ensure that we can build safe and affordable communities. That's what I've done as mayor since assuming office. It's unfortunate that this president is working overtime to divide and in his attempt to conquer working families and to conquer cities across America. But this is clearly a violation of the Constitution, and we're going to remain firm and vigilant in our commitment to ensure that our democracy is protected and our humanity is secured.
If word salad was a definition, I think maybe Brandon Johnson could replace Kamala Harris. I know that the Jimmy Dore show is set to come here to Chicago. I don't know, maybe sometime in September. I don't know exactly when it will happen. But what I want to say to any content creators who come to Chicago, Trump has indicated that he plans on moving federal forces, federal agents into the city sometime in September, just before the new year ends. So you got September, October, November, December. And then we go into all of 2026, which is the midterm election cycle. This is the time in which the Democrats are going to try and rebuild their brand. And it's also a severe gut check and could shake up the entire political landscape of Chicago for the 2027 municipal elections. There's going to be a cause and effect and a ripple effect. And to anyone that wants to know more about this, I have right now reached out to my birds on the ground in the city of Chicago, my eyes and ears, my little phantoms who are in the shadows. Yes, I have little phantoms, little birds that will. I got news for you. I'll be more than happy to share this story and talk about it. I'm also reaching out to fellow Chicagoans as well to collaborate and address really the future of our city. This is going to be a shakeup. And now there is potential for things to get out of hand. I will not sugarcoat that either. But as a final note, to the Trump administration, you're coming to Chicago, a hyper-segregated city that has been divided for decades. You might have, if things get out of hand, you might have the ill attempt or ill situation of dealing with a unified city that hates you. Or either that, you could solve all the problems of Chicago by going to City Hall. That should be your number. In the off chance, hey, Barron Trump, in the off chance you watch the show, because I got my suspicions, or to my FBI and CIA handlers, listen, I don't like you and you don't like me. My audience doesn't like its handlers, and I know that their handlers don't like my audience, right? But do me a solid. City Hall is where the main problem's at. If I see aldermen being arrested, being exposed for their crimes and criminality, I mean, okay, you might be okay then. It would be funny. It would be funny. It would be funny. But that's where the problem is at. The main cause of the cancer, City Hall. I don't want to hear talk about gangbangers on the streets. We already know about that. I already know about that. All right, 40 years old. My family's been living here for generations. But you want to know what my great-grandpappy would say? My grandfather, may he rest in peace. My mother, my uncles, my aunts, my cousins, my brother. You want to know what they would say? The real criminals are in City Hall. So don't be stupid, stupids. Go to City Hall. You go there if you got the nerve. Because if I don't see any aldermen being arrested, this whole thing coming to Chicago is nothing but bull in the first place. That's it. That's all I'm saying. And if it does happen, hey, Cortex Creations, this one's for you. Absolute cinema.